I've got a recording in my ear. I got Sue on a recording in my ear. I have Sue on a recording in my ear, like the beginning of the live of the podcast. Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Common Thread. We're going to do a little singing to get started. This is God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen and We Three Kings. Please join in with us. Here we go. God rest ye merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay. Remember Christ our Savior was born upon this day to save us all from Satan's power when we were gone astray. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy. From God our heavenly Father, a blessed angel came, and unto certain shepherds brought tidings of the same, how that on Bethlehem was born the Son of God by name. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy. Oh, star of wonder, star of night, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light.
Lord, a king on Bethlehem's plain, gold I bring to crown him again, King forever ceasing, never over us all to reign. Oh, star of wonder, star of night, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light. Glorious now, behold him arise, King and God in sacrifice. Hallelujah, hallelujah, worshiping God Most High. Oh, star of wonder, star of night, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light.
God rest ye merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay. God rest ye merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay. God rest ye merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay. Let nothing you dismay. Let nothing you dismay. Let nothing you dismay. Woo! Welcome.
Well, good morning and welcome, everyone. My name is Ashley Stevenson, for anyone who doesn't know me yet. And I'm grateful for this opportunity to welcome you to Common Thread and to share our announcements today. First, let me say Happy New Year. I can't think of a better way to start 2025 than by logging on or gathering here this morning in person. I'm excited to continue growing alongside you all and seeing what God has in store for us, for our church, and for our community this year. I joined Common Thread back in August of 2023, so I know how intimidating it can be walking into a room of people that you don't know. But I promise that whether you're here virtually or whether you're here in person, that you belong. So feel free to come talk to me or anyone who looks friendly, and we'll be happy to welcome you and to answer any questions that you have, or if you prefer, you can scan that QR code or visit our website online to learn more on your own time. So I know the holidays can bring on a lot of grief or can be a very challenging time if you're without family or maybe if you're with them. But we want you to know that we care about you and that we are here to listen to you. And so right after our service, down that hall at the very end, on the left is our library, and we will have a trained listener who is there today to be there for you if you need any support. And Carrie is going to be our listener today, I believe. Carrie, do you mind waving your hand? Okay, well, somebody will be there to, perfect, good to see you. Dawn, so Dawn will be there if you would like to be listened to. But again, you can scan the QR code or visit our website online if you need support. And as we do every week, or if you're new here today, for our call and response, I will read what's in parentheses and you can read what's in bold. So if you are here, you belong. We are, every one of us, carriers of the inner light.
We are, every one of us, carriers of the inner light.
And we are, every one of us, carriers of divine breath.
We are, every one of us, carriers of divine breath.
And now let's take a moment to stand. And as we're ready to greet one another, I encourage you to consider asking your neighbor to get to know them a little bit better. What was your favorite gift that you gave or received this year? What was a special holiday moment that brought you or someone else joy? Or what is your top New Year's resolution? So gift, moment, or resolution. Please stand and greet one another.
Well, welcome everyone tuning in online. Glad you've joined us. If you're new, glad you joined us if you're a long timer. So welcome to Common Thread, this shared endeavor of ours, working together to make spirituality a meaningful part of our lives and to do it in the context of authentic community with each other. So I hope when you are here, online or in person, that you feel encouraged to imagine more possibilities in your spiritual life, more possibilities in what a spiritual community could be. I also hope you feel encouraged here to ask better questions more than pin down right answers, to gain different perspectives on the spiritual life. I hope together we are seeking meaningful ways to connect with what is sacred in our everyday lives. Now, later in the service, you're going to be invited to click a couple of links in the YouTube notes, simple invitations to connect with real people in an online way, walking the spiritual path together. And I hope you say yes. I hope you will say yes. We've figured out how to do all the things that we do in person in an online way. So I hope you will click one of those links. Watching online is a great first step. The real magic happens when we do it with real people also on the journey. So thanks again for joining us, and let's join the service.
I got these dusty, very nice. But we gave the kids money because
All right, another song to sing. Do you hear what I hear? I need my drummer. This gives you a chance to breathe. We're doing so djembe or whatever. Dealer's choice. 1, 2, 3, 4. Said the night wind to the little lamb, do you see what I see? Way up in the sky, little lamb, do you see what I see? A star, dancing in the night with a tail as big as a kite, with a tail as big as a kite. Said the little lamb to the shepherd boy, do you hear what I hear? Ringing through the sky, shepherd boy, do you hear what I hear? A song, high above the trees, with a voice as big as the sea, with a voice as big as the sea. Said the shepherd boy to the mighty king, do you know what I know? In your palace warm, mighty king, do you know what I know? A child shivers in the cold. Let us bring him silver and gold. Let us bring him silver and gold. Said the king to the people everywhere, listen to what I say. Pray for peace, people everywhere. Listen to what I say. The child, sleeping in the night, he will bring us goodness and light. He will bring us goodness and light.
All right, well, there are lots of ways to get involved and belong within our church and our community. And I encourage you to try something new that you might not have participated in 2024. And there are 3 things that are happening today. We have What Are You Thinking after our live service. We have our meditation support group downstairs that Angela will be leading. And we also have Brew Crew that will be later today from 4 to 6 p.m. at Linwood. Later this weekend on Friday, Morgan and Jeff will be hosting Bunko at their house. And if you go to the next slide, I'll give a bit more detail about the last 2 bullets. All right, so next Sunday, there will be not 1, but 2 very special ceremonies. And I encourage you to be here in person or virtually to show love and support to our kindergarteners who will be moving up to the elementary class, and of course, to Sue. Now, I don't think we're installing anything per se, like a heating system. We did that a couple of weeks ago, but we are certainly initiating, Sue, that's my term, not the slide's term, since the baton has officially been passed from our founding pastor, Doug, and over to Sue. So I hope you'll join us to celebrate her and our children next Sunday. All right, so if you're like me and you've got any Enneagram 3 in your tri-type, or you just enjoy knowing what's coming up later, we have the Parkers hosting our supper club on the 18th from 6 to 8 p.m. So if you would like to be part of their top 8, please sign up to bring a side dish, as they will be bringing the main meal. Next slide. All right, so last but not least, if you want to learn more about any of those activities that I mentioned, or if everything I just said went in one ear and out the other, you've got 3 options to find information. You can download our Church Center app, you can visit our website, or you can read about it on Thursday when it's delivered straight to your email. So thank you for letting me share the announcements, and I'll pass it over to Sue.
Thank you, Ashley, and good morning, friends. So each September, if you are here with us on the regular, you know that we dedicate one of our services to what we used to call Club Day, and we are now calling Working the Circle Day. And it's when we invite the leaders of various groups at CTC to come up and tell us about the efforts they lead at our church and what those efforts have meant in their lives, so that each of us can see what activities and practices might be calling to us in the upcoming year. And in January, we do a mini version of this to let you know what's coming up in the winter and fall. And when I say mini version, I mean mini, because instead of dedicating an entire service to this, we are basically distributing this beautiful handout that Jen has created after working with Kate to pull all the details together to help us see all the many varied ways in which we can work the circle this winter and this spring. So please take one of these flyers. They're at your table, and if all of those flyers are gone from your table, we have plenty more, so you just ask for one on your way out. Look at all the opportunities available to you this winter and spring. You can also find a link in the app and consider what's calling to you as we begin 2025. And if you have any questions about any of this, you can reach out to Kate. And thank you again, Kate and Jen. I don't think most of us are aware of all the time and care you both put into making sure that we have organized and easily accessible means through which to find all the ways in which we can be and belong, so thank you.
It's a truckload of work.
It is a truckload of work. Doug's exactly right. Wait a minute, I realize I'm standing in the wrong place. Hold on. Oh.
And by the way, well done, Kate and Jen. This looks great.
Doesn't it? It really does look great. Yeah, give them a round of applause. And speaking of thank yous, we're going to be doing quite a bit of thanking folks this year. Because again, there are so many things that happen in our community, and they only happen because people step up to make them happen. And they make them happen with the pure love that flows from their hearts. For instance, look at these beautiful platforms we have up here in front of the stage, looking like they've always been here. Ray Parker spent months sourcing materials and working on building these platforms, not just as places for us musicians and speakers to stand, but to also manage our cables and pave the way for a real beautification project this year. And I've just been waiting to thank him publicly for this. So Ray, would you raise your hand and thank you for all your labors of love. And in fact, this morning, I want to take a few moments to thank the people who make Sunday mornings happen week in and week out. Because if you aren't a part of it, you may not have considered all the prep work that goes into making this hour and a half each week something you keep showing up for. For instance, Joe is an outstanding musician who pours more of his heart into leading our music than most of us know. He spends hours learning music, practicing it, writing charts, putting it in digestible documents, and most challenging for him, I think, is dealing with me throwing requests at him all the time. Which, in addition to other things, is something I'm committed to revising this year in terms of my approach. Anyway, this isn't a paid gig for Joe. He does this out of the goodness of his heart, and it's incredible work. Thank you, Joe. I'm looking forward to seeing how our music ministry unfolds through this year. You may want to hold your applause to the end, because if you see how small these names are, we're going to go through quite a lot of them. And Melissa stepped up about a year and a half ago to provide lead vocals, and as I have come to know her, I've also witnessed some amazing spiritual growth happening alongside her own generous offering of her beautiful voice and sometime harmonium playing. Because you see, the music here isn't a performance, it's a gift. It's a spiritual practice. And she and Joe have been leading us so well this year, and so thank you, Melissa, for all you have offered and will continue to offer. And Lindsay's not here this morning, but she's been offering her musical gifts here for many years. And she continues to pop in when Joe needs a week off or we ask her to share something special, much like she did with the Yeshua song last week. And if you have heard her sing and play guitar, I don't need to tell you how gorgeous it is. Thank you, Lindsay, for continuing to share your gifts with us. And of course, we regularly have Shelby coming up here to provide harmony when she can get up here from downstairs for a bit. And Inder up here these days filling out our music with percussion. And John Bass stops in every so often to lay down a bass line. And Maria has recently shared some harmonium and vocals. And there have been many others over the years who have shared their musical gifts with us. And I'm thinking of Jean and Sky and Matt and Rebecca and Cherie and way back to George. Thanks to all I've mentioned and those I may have missed. Music makes community, and you all have made contributions that last forever. Thank you. And that's just the music, folks. You wouldn't be able to hear the music if it weren't for Jean, faithfully setting up our tech and managing our soundboard for decades. And if you watch online, you wouldn't be able to see it without our live streamers, Cherie and Jared and Jen and Nick and Liz, who also helped with this for a good long time the past couple of years. And you wouldn't have anywhere to sit if it weren't for Melissa and Margie. Also, she runs a broom sometimes through here, both of them helping Doug and me to get the tables and chairs set, because with all the space sharing that happens on this campus, we never know what we are walking into here on any given Sunday morning. And you wouldn't have coffee and snacks if it weren't for Carol, organizing and half the time actually taking care of that, along with the Parkers and Dawn and Ashley and Inder and Candy and Fred and Kate and Morgan and Kerry, community members who show up week in and week out, again and again, Sunday after Sunday. And this is just what happens on Sunday mornings. Throughout the week, we got to plan for this and get it ready. Kate makes sure everyone knows their roles for the week. She plugs people into slots and sends out reminders. Jen works on our slides each Sunday so that we have beautiful visuals to help us engage our whole beings with our services. We work on a run sheet, and we review it, and we tweak it, and we make sure that everything flows. And some of you have asked about Heather, who's been on an extended sabbatical where she is discerning what ministry in her life will look like going forward, but I want to express my deep gratitude for all the time she has spent the past few years planning and helping to lead on Sundays, in addition to her work with the teens, as well as her husband Cameron, who has been a standout support to Jean in the sound booth and to all of us. And Shelby, even with running the entire youth program, also has influence on what happens up here. And Jack is downstairs most Sundays now working with the teens, but he has been invaluable in helping us set the tone for Sundays. Not just on Sunday mornings, but in leading meetings and conversations and, yes, contemplative practices during the week and before most of you arrive. It is possible I've missed someone. I hope not. But in any case, thank you. Thank all of you. And I haven't even started on what happens downstairs because we don't have time today. But rest assured, all the folks who make the youth program happen deserve their own appreciation day. And so do all the folks who have done so many things to make Common Thread what it is and continues to become, so stay tuned for all that. But the thing is, all of this would be for naught if it weren't for all of you showing up here on Sunday mornings. Because we only do any of this to support what really matters, our gathering together, our being connected and participating, growing in our spiritual lives, and being community together. You do that right from where you sit, or you do it in other ways. You may have noticed Ashley getting up here for the first time to lead some things. And thank you, Ashley, so well done. And she did this because she indicated a desire to become more involved in the life of our community, not just on Sunday mornings, but also on Sunday mornings. And I want to let you know that any of you are welcome to participate in what happens on Sunday mornings in other ways too. So expect some explicit invitations over the next few months. Invitations to explore if you might be interested in a different kind of participation. If you want to be part of the music, or read the announcements, or learn the soundboard, or offer a lesson, or help move some tables. We could really use some help moving some tables. Even invitations to help us think through what the gentle evolution of our Sunday mornings might look like as we enter this new era in the life of Common Thread. And while I hope this rundown has given you a deepened appreciation for what happens on Sunday mornings, going back to this flyer, remember, Sunday mornings are only 90 out of 10,000 minutes we have each week. And there are so many other ways in which we can be community with each other together. So I hope you will spend some time this week discerning what calls to you, and perhaps we can begin that discernment right now with this morning's contemplative practice. And so, let's all find a comfortable place in our bodies. Let's close our eyes if we like. Feel free to keep them open. Take a deep breath in through your nose. And exhale fully through your mouth. And I invite you to do this again. Deep breath in and exhale. Relax your body, starting with the top of your head. See if you can bring attention to the top of your head. Feel the aliveness there. Don't think about it. Feel it and sense it. And see if you can get your muscles on the top of your head to relax. And let that relaxation move down your face. Release the tension in your cheeks, your jaw, your neck and your shoulders. Let this relaxation flow down through your chest and your arms. Your hands and your fingers. Bring attention to your fingers. Are they curled? Are they tight? Are they clenched? Relax. Open them. See if you can bring to your hands an open posture of receptivity to the divine light. Continue your breathing. Deep breath in. Full exhale out. Relax your muscles in your torso and your hips, your upper legs, your knees. Just feel it flow through you into your lower legs. Bring awareness to your feet and see if you can sense them grounding you. And rest in this stillness. See if you can connect with that inner light deep within you. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know. Be still. Be.
Let all mortal hearts keep silence, standing still in sacred awe. Open minds and spirits waiting, drawn by love's eternal call. Light from depths of all creation gently speaks to every soul. Born of earth yet filled with wonder, humble flesh and mystery, woven through the human story, presence moves eternally. Love now calls us into wholeness, sharing life abundantly. Rank on rank the stars of heaven, silent witness to the way, as the light within all being ushers in a dawning day. Hope awakens, fear surrenders, as the shadows melt away. At this call, all life rejoices, hidden realms and earthly spheres. Every breath becomes a blessing, offering praise that stills our fears.
So, this past year, we worked through a lot as a community, didn't we? Both within our community and our leadership transition, and beyond it, in the many challenges and crises that seem to define our world these days. The themes of 2024 called us to ground ourselves in the eternal flow of divine presence, to lean into the tensions of uncertainty and obligation, fear and grief, transformation and letting go. And through it all, we glimpsed the light. We saw how in becoming balanced people, love flows. It weaves us together, and it invites us to be part of something greater than ourselves. So if the lessons of 2024 were geared toward helping us find our way through a very challenging period in history, this year, we'll explore the spiritual journey that can help us find that way day in and day out. A journey that is not linear, that has no places of being further along or further behind, a place where we are all just where we are supposed to be. A dynamic journey of many valleys, punctuated by just enough mountains. A journey that eventually helps us come to know what it means to be human. A journey that has a definitive ending, but ultimately helps us come back to the beginning. I think, in a nutshell, that we will spend all year unpacking. What it means to be human is to remember that we live, move, and have our being in a love that flows through us, beyond us, and returns us home. Which means we are called to live as seekers, travelers, and participants in this great unfolding journey of life on earth. Today, on the liturgical calendar, we are invited to consider this through the story of the wise men, or the Magi, those mysterious figures who set out from the east to follow a star. You may or may not be familiar with Sir Ken Robinson. He was one of the original TED Talkers who was a strident proponent of educational reform in our schools. And in his very first talk, speaking about the wisdom and courage of young children, he tells a cute story about a Christmas pageant his son was in. He gets to the point in the story where the kids who are playing the parts of the three wise men approach the baby doll in the makeshift manger, each of them bringing their gifts. The first one says, "I bring you gold." And the second one says, "I bring you myrrh." And the third one says, "Frank sent this." And of course, he uses this example to demonstrate how kids, just like the young people we are going to celebrate next Sunday, are often so much more courageous than we are as adults. They aren't afraid to take a risk, much like the Magi weren't in this story. The Magi were not kings, as our bare-naked ladies' carol might suggest, but scholars, astrologers, and mostly seekers. They represent humanity at its best, curious, open, and willing to take risks in search of something greater. Their story begins with an epiphany, a moment of seeing. They notice the star, a new light in the heavens, and they recognize that it means something. And this is where all journeys begin, with the realization that there is more, that the ordinary world is pregnant with the extraordinary. And so they set out. They leave the familiar behind, journeying through uncertainty and following the star to its destination. Along the way, they encounter obstacles, Herod's deceit, the discomfort of travel, and the uncertainty of what they'll find. But they press on, driven by their vision of the light. And when they arrive, they are not disappointed. In the story, what they find is beyond their imagining: the Christ child, Emmanuel, God with us. They fall to their knees, offering gifts, gold, myrrh, and whatever it was that Frank sent, as symbols of their reverence and their recognition. And then they go home by another way, forever changed by what they have seen. As we turn the page to 2025, the question before us is this: what does it mean to be human on this journey? Our culture makes it hard to figure that out. I saw a tagline on the Charles Schwab building on Glenwood Avenue this past week that said, "Own your tomorrow." Own your tomorrow? Is that what it means to be human? I think that's what our culture might have us believe. That to be human means to make it in this world, to find the ways to control our destinies through carefully laid plans for our lives and the strategic execution of them, to be held in high esteem by others through impressive schooling and fancy jobs and important titles, to find security in warm houses and lots of money and solid retirement plans so that we can own our tomorrows. But what does any of that have to do with remembering that we live, move, and have our being in a love that flows through us, beyond us, and returns us home? Not saying there's anything wrong with making plans or being educated or living in a warm house. I would say those are pretty important things to most of us. But they all fade away. None of it lasts. It can't be why we're here. It just can't be what it's all about. The inner light is within us, and it takes some seeking to find it. But just finding it isn't the point either. What does it look like to live in response to that light, to see with new eyes, and let the journey shape us? What does it mean to live our lives with the deep and unshakable knowing that we don't need temporal control, security, or esteem if we are already held in divine power, safety, and love? The story of the Magi is a mirror of the spiritual journey, a journey that is deeply human. It's a journey of seeing marked by epiphanies, moments of seeing with new eyes, where the veil lifts and we glimpse a deeper reality. But these moments are not the journey. They are the invitations. The journey is the movement that follows, the willingness to respond, to set out, to leave what is familiar and comfortable for the unknown. And the journey can change us. Like the Magi, we may return home by another way, but we do not return the same. We are all on this journey right now, each in our own way, and we are all seekers, or else I suspect we wouldn't be here. We have all been moved by the light, and like the wise men, it's not just about noticing the light, it is about responding to it. It is about letting it lead us, being led by a different sight and by a beautiful light, even when the path is uncertain. It is about being willing to leave the familiar behind and to trust that the journey is worth it. It is about offering our gifts as the Magi did. Maybe these gifts would have been diapers and blankets if it had been wise women instead of wise men, but the point is that they brought what they had, and they brought it with love. And we are called to do the same, not as tokens of perfection, not as something that reinforces anything about ourselves or makes us feel good, but as signs of our willingness to participate in the divine flow. Because ultimately, the journey is about coming home. Not the home we left, but a deeper home. The home of knowing who we are and whose we are. The wise men's journey ends with their return, but they are not the same. They have seen the divine light in a way that has changed them, and so it is with us. The journey takes us home, but it is a home transformed by the light. As we begin this new year, I invite you to reflect on your own journey. What are the epiphanies that have shaped your life? What moments have opened your eyes to something deeper, something truer? Maybe it was a moment of connection with nature or an encounter with grace that left you speechless. Maybe it was the birth of a child, God coming into the world anew and through that child. Or in the loss of someone you loved, God returning home with all the wisdom gained and love grown in that particular journey. Whatever it was, that moment was a star, a light pointing you toward the divine. and being pointed toward the divine, what might the journey look like for you this year? What gifts will you bring to this year's journey? And how will you let the journey lead you? One step, one star, one moment at a time toward a deeper home. Let's spend the year exploring these questions together, not just academically, but through our lived reality. Let's look at the wisdom of holy texts, both in the Bible and beyond it, both in our tradition and beyond it, to deepen our understanding of what it means to live as human beings fully alive to the presence of God. Let's learn from one another's stories, from the wisdom of the ages, from scientists and mystics, and from the spirits leading in our midst, all the things that are common to Common Thread. Let's take home these flyers and connect throughout the week. Let's consider new things, perhaps engaging in some creative endeavors together as we make this journey. I can't tell you exactly how it's going to go, but I am excited to find out, because the real joy of the journey comes in the encounter of ever new arisings and unfoldings. And so, this year, may we follow the star, one step at a time, let the journey shape us and lead us home. I am so looking forward to this next leg of the journey with all of you. And of course, this journey comes on the heels of the first leg of our community's journey, the one that Doug started and has so carefully tended and led for 3 decades. A journey of deconstruction, a path for the weary and brokenhearted, a soft place to ask the hard questions and engage with the practices that lead to spiritual transformation. And now, as we prepare to see what comes next in Common Thread's journey together without Doug at the helm, you should know that Doug is going to step back to clear the path for what comes next and take a journey of his own for a while, starting a new venture that some of you are already helping him with, and entering a new phase in his life. And I want to invite my friend to come on up here now and share a bit about his own next steps on his own next journey.
So this was a weird thing. For 30 years, I have written all the jobs descriptions at the church. And then Sue wrote one for me. And I thought, damn, this is nice. This really works out well. So let me talk to you a little bit about what I'm going to do after next week when Sue is installed. The first thing I'm going to do, is take a break. I'm going to take several weeks off and I'm going to work on this project that I'll tell you about in a moment. But when I come back, here's what I'm going to be focused on. My first focus is to be Sue's assistant. I have been telling her that since if you remember that document where we had the 2 columns and we transfer things over, I want to do whatever I can to help Sue succeed. Because if Sue succeeds, our community gets healthy. And if our community gets healthy, that was the whole point and purpose of starting a new endeavor like this. So whatever it's needed to fill in, to support, to encourage any perspective or projects that she needs, anything that she doesn't have the bandwidth for example. When I get back, one of the things that I'll be doing is relaunching the One Wake team, our efforts together to participate with mitigating harm that has happened in our county. Also, she suggested a few groups that might be helpful. I have a lot of experience with folks who are deconstructing their traditional religion and finding their way into a reframed understanding. I've talked with John about a Raising Boys group because, as we know, boys are facing a lot of challenges in our culture and society right now. Meeting with people as needed. I have sure done a lot of coffees through the years. That's one of the parts of the job that I've enjoyed the most. And all of those, I think, will be helpful for the community, and they've all been parts of the role that I've really enjoyed. But here's what's going to be my main focus. It's what you've heard me say many times. For 30 years, I did not think of Common Thread as a church. For 30 years, I thought of Common Thread as a lab where we do experiments together to try and figure out what church means, trialing our way and erroring our way into figuring out what healthy spiritual community could be. It's been no surprise to anyone for quite some time that organized religion in our nation is quite unhealthy. And so what would it mean, and how would we go forward to become healthy spiritual community? And that meant first, we needed a theoretical foundation before we could even start building. And so I did almost a decade of lessons, rethinking the core meaning-making narrative, the story, the underlying framework that informs our most basic assumptions about everything, including spiritual community, and a framework that could serve as a foundation for a healthy way of being spiritual community. We did that. Which meant then, second, we needed to figure out what do people do when they participate in a community that is healthy, that is founded on a healthier framework, a healthier narrative, which became the practices, which became Working the Circle Sunday. So some more years trialing and erroring how we do those practices together and do them in ways that are meaningful and that do have a transformative impact. You've heard me refer to them as things that we can do, that if we will do, will make it possible tomorrow to do what we cannot yet do. Then we developed training for each one of those and an organizational framework to help us help each other be steady in those practices that do change us. And we've done a pretty good job. We know how to be healthy spiritual community and are, in very many ways, a very healthy spiritual community. But a perennial challenge for any community is when new people join, they join without the background and understanding of what has gone before. Many of you have joined since we worked out many of those core principles, norms, and practices. So I'll be working on a series of easily accessible short videos about the core foundations of healthy spiritual community. What is the meaning-making narrative, and how does that inform how we do community? And what have we learned, and what does history teach us that we can draw from? And what are the hidden treasures that are in our own tradition as well as in other traditions? And how do we bring those to bear on building healthy community? And then figuring out how all of that works out on a Thursday, or in the context of a group, or a series of practices that we do together. So I hope you'll watch these videos. I hope more that you will internalize them and draw from them to keep us together building a healthier spiritual community and becoming the kind of people who can inform the kind of organization that can bring life to a society that is clearly hurting. Now finally, after I've done all that for our community, my hope is that there are other communities who could find benefit from that kind of support and encouragement as they build their own spiritual communities. So that's what I plan to do after I come back from being away for a few weeks. What are you thinking? Any thoughts, questions? What are you wondering about? You don't get long. What are you thinking? I imagine this is really fulfilled, excited, and happy. I feel here. This is the kind of work that I love. This has been my favorite part of the role. But you heard this morning all the stuff that goes on into organizing a spiritual community. That had to happen. And I liked that. It was fun. I loved it. I enjoyed it. But the only time that I could really carve out to do this was on Thursdays. So I made Thursdays this day. Now, every day's Thursday. So, yeah, that's how I feel great about it. Anything else? All right, Sue, come on.
All right, folks on the live stream, thank you for joining us today. If you are new to us on the live stream, I'm sorry, I keep moving here because there's supposed to be, we have, like we said before, we never know what we're walking into here on Sunday mornings, and people move stuff around, and we got to come in here and move the tables, and then I don't know what they do on this platform. They shouldn't even be touching it, but anyway, I'm fine. It's all good. But I'm not angry about it. But Jean told me this morning, stand right there. And then Melissa came and put a Post-it note down here. And I'll tell you that these Post-it notes, they don't stay. So we'll put something more permanent here soon. But anyhow, want to be like right here so you can see me. If you're even looking at me, you might not be looking at me. You may be looking at what's on the screen right now, which is folks on the live stream, how to get connected. We would love for you to be a little more connected than just watching us on a Sunday morning if you would like to do that too. So if you're interested in doing something we're about to do here in the room, which we do every Sunday after our lessons, which is called What Are You Thinking, Sensing, and Feeling, look in the comments below and click the link. It'll take you to a Zoom link, and you can join with some of the best people I know. It's a little intimidating sometimes, especially online, and you don't know what you're walking into and who you're going to be talking with, but they talk about the lesson, and they talk about what's going on in their lives, and they have been working to build a really robust, solid, loving spiritual community, and they would just love to have you join them. So click on that link, and the code to get in is 1417 if you're watching us live on Sunday morning. You also might be watching us live at some other, not live, but watching us, you're alive, but you're watching us at some other time. And if you want to know more about remote community, there is another link there that you can click to get more information. It's a little like our newcomer thing that we talked about earlier in the service, but this has a little bit of remote specificity to it. And so if you want to know more about remote community, how we're building it, click that link. We will send you more information so that you can learn more if you'd like to know more about being involved with our community remotely. And with that, friends in the room, let's dismiss our friends on the live stream by putting one hand on our hearts, remembering that the divine indwells us, and it's going to be a great leg of our journey this year. Let's get grounded for it. Let's be excited about it. And that divine light is something that we are called to share with the world, with each other right here in this room, and everyone out there. The fruit of the Spirit that are in us, which is patience, kindness, goodness, love, all of it is there waiting for us to nurture and share with our world. So let's extend another hand out to our city and our world, resolving as we do to share what is in us with everyone with whom we live, with whom we work, with whom we go to school, everyone we encounter in our streets, taking seriously our commitment to be healers and repairers of our world. Amen. Okay, God bless you folks on the live stream. You are dismissed. Folks in the room, maybe just take a minute to get settled and talk about what are you thinking, whether it's about the lesson or whether it's about